Hi, my name is Mandolin Royal, and today I'm here with the fruits of the labor. These 3 cockerels here, we did a special finishing with them. And these 3 down here, we did not do a special finishing. And what I did for the finishing this time was 1/3 cracked corn to 1/3 wheat berries to 1/3 of their regular feed. And it did not affect the carcass or their growth. I started them on this when they were 12 weeks old, and we're now just coming up on the 18-week point. I had meant to do this processing a couple of weeks ago, but you know how life is and stuff gets in the way of your plans. But these guys all dressed out really nice, and the difference I saw was in the fat. And I'm going to show you that. And I'm also, on the end of this video, going to put in the picture of the live bird with their carcass and the weights. We did have a range of weights, but these guys are coming out of the call pens, and they were all put there for various faults or flaws that would not be required for breeding. So this first one here, live weight, he was 6 pounds 8 ounces, and the dress weight's 4 pounds 6 ounces. Shape-wise, that's a really nice looking bird. And you can see on the undercarriage here, in between the legs, the width going on. And this is what you're looking for when they still have the feathers on. That undercarriage is what presents that width in there for the final finished product. As far as the pelvic spacing, it's a lot easier to show it when they're like this. There's a little bone there. There's a little bone there. 2 fingers fit inside. And again, this is at 18 weeks old. These guys were hatched back at the end of October. This is where the wing ties in. It's where the other wing ties in. 3 fingers with some wiggle room. 4 fingers fit. Now, as far as the finishing and the fat layer that all 3 of these put on, this is almost like hen fat on a young male. And that translates to the juiciness when you're cooking and the flavor. It really helps out a lot, especially if you do a slow roast. It's on both ends of the bird, and I bet if I did a spatchcock and split them open, it would be up into the ribs up through here too. So as they're cooking, all that melts and just keeps the whole bird really juicy. This next guy also got the special finishing. His live weight was 6 pounds 12 ounces. His dress weight was 4 pounds 4 ounces. He doesn't quite have the same feel to the fleshing in here, but he still has the width. On the back side, he picked up more fat than the other one did. All this melts down for cooking. Similar top width in between shoulders. It's another nice looking bird. The third one that went in for special finishing, I don't know if you can see it. This guy ended up in that pen for what his keel does. It's not perfectly straight. And there's a little bit of a dip. See where it comes here, dips down, and then comes back out? That's stuff you want to feel for when they've got their feathers on and they're walking around. If you find it, you got to process it. You don't want it breeding forward. Stop it in its tracks. He got more fat than the other 2. especially on the back side here. Man, that's like a hen. On a young boy bird. So I'm going to keep experimenting with this special finishing, and I'm going to try different recipes, different time frames to find what we like the best. But doing the 1/3 with corn, wheat berries, and their regular feed, they still got to keep growing, but they got to put on a nice layer of juiciness. So the next 3, they didn't get the special finishing, and they still didn't turn out that bad, which is why we haven't been doing the special finishing, because we still get a pretty good result. So this guy, he was one of the bigger ones. Live weight, 7 pounds, 1 ounce. Dress weight, 5 pounds even. There's our underbody width. So imagine the bird was standing in front of you and he still had his feet and stuff. Your whole hand. Unless you have some bear paws, your whole hand should be able to get through there. When we turn him around, it's got the same 3 fingers and some change in between. Fat-wise, for the juice factor, there's a little bit in there. Not quite as thick as the ones who got the special finishing. But this guy spent enough time at the feeder. Looks like most of it's on the back side and not so much on the front side. But it's probably still up into the ribs. This one didn't get the fleshing down the keel. That's why he was pulled for culling. If they don't have it, they're not going to breed it forward. Keel was pretty straight though. There just wasn't much mass in here. He still had the width, but all around he was a smaller bird. And his live weight was 5 pounds, 15 ounces with a dress weight of 3 pounds, 12 ounces. So definitely the smallest bird here today. And he didn't get hardly any fat at all. There's a little bit there. But it's not going to juice up the same during cooking as the other ones are going to. Yeah, that's not much at all. So this one would have benefited from the special finishing. Put some little more fat in there. Maybe it would have helped with his gain. Last one was another big guy, 7 pounds even. He dressed out at 4 pounds, 12 ounces. So he didn't quite get to that 5 pound mark, but still looks great. And he had pretty good fleshing all the way down through here. But again, there's that keel, and what his is doing isn't perfectly straight. There's a little bit of an S in there. Fat-wise, he was a porker. It's not quite as thick as what got the special finishing, but there's ample there to cook with. It's just not as thick. But he's probably got plenty up front here too, and he's probably got it through the rib cage. Not quite so much, but enough. There's our shoulder width. I don't think I looked at that little one. Yeah, so he's got a little less room in the shoulder. He's almost exactly 3 fingers. Whereas the bigger one, that's quite the spread. So this one, I think, wins the day for top width. But they're actually all pretty consistent. Once you get them looking like this, it's hard to tell the differences between them. As far as pelvic spacing, this guy was good. Gotta move all that out of the way. This guy had room to spare. 2 fingers. Almost 3. Even the little guy had a good opening. So when I was processing them, this is where that bone spacing comes into play. Your whole hand needs to get up in through here, and it needs to get all the way up to the front of the bird, up where the lungs are, in here, roundabouts, the gizzard, heart's up here. But your hand needs to get all the way up in there to retrieve that stuff. And if this opening is too small to do that, it's very inconvenient. One of the other measurements, and I'll go ahead and show you on this little bird because he wasn't too terrible. So where the keel ends and where the pelvic bones are. So these 2 little bones over here on either side, that's what can dig into your wrist or your hand when you're going in. The other distance is this way because this keel will get in the way. So you want to make sure there's a good spread. So there's the pelvic bone, there's the keel. That's 3 fingers, which is enough to create a pretty good opening. Now if these were female birds, that's where the egg's going to come out, so it's important for them too. So it doesn't matter gender. You've got to have that big opening and good body capacity going on in what you're breeding so that this part is efficient and easy. Go ahead and stick around. I'm going to go ahead and run through the pictures of these guys. I did label them with their weights. And I didn't have time to do the entire batch. I had time for 6 today. So I'll probably do another processing video and show how I get down to this result. We'll get there as I can fit it in. Feel free to like and subscribe. Keep learning about these birds, what you're looking for, what you're breeding for, so you can keep good results coming, or to get there if you're not there already. This one wins the award for worst keel. You don't want to feel this knobby thing up in the front. That should be buried in meat. But that's why he's here. He's going to make a meal. We're going to keep breeding the good stuff forward.